All right, ladies and gentlemen, can I get your attention for just a minute? I want to make sure everybody understands that I have so far 3 full sheets of people who want to speak tonight, which is great. There are still sign-up sheets in the back. Now, to keep people from standing in the aisle and blocking the aisles, I will be calling you up by how you signed up on the sheets. That way we don't have 30 people lining up for no reason. If you sign up, you will get to speak. If you have not already signed up before we start the meeting, take a minute, go back to the back, get your name and stuff on one of the sign-up sheets. The public comment period will last until we have given everybody who signed up an opportunity to speak. Again, you will have up to 5 minutes per person. Now, if you work amongst yourselves, this is totally your option, and you want to have someone speak for a group of you, that's okay too. But if your name's going on the list, you're going to get called up to speak. And like I said, right now I have 60 people so far. And as soon as we get started, we'll continue to let the sheets go until I run through these, and then we'll pick up the sheets from the back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Westminster City Council meeting of February the 13th, 2017. If you don't recognize it, we have an American flag both in the front and in the back, so I'd ask you at this time, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, would you please take roll?
Atchison.
Here.
Baker. Here. Byrd. Here. DeCambra.
Here.
Garcia.
Here.
Pinter. Seitz.
Here.
Okay. First item on the agenda will be the minutes of the January 23rd City Council meeting. At this time, I would entertain a motion for the acceptance of those meetings. Ms. Seitz?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the City Council approve the minutes of the January 23rd, 2017 meeting as presented.
Mr. Baker?
Well, I would like to amend the minutes, so I will wait for it. I will wait for, well, a second first.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Garcia, okay. We have a motion and a second. What is your amendment, Mr. Baker?
Really, thank you, Mr. Mayor. At our February 13th meeting, no,
That's tonight.
at the January 23rd meeting, on the item taken off of the consent agenda about the biosolids plant and the money being spent for that, the discussion of that, I said that the plant was going to cost $20 million, and in the report, it was going to save us roughly $200,000 a year. And I called attention to that 1% return on investment. And both the city manager and one of our fellow councilors jumped in questioning those numbers. And in the addendum that was added on into our report tonight, nowhere does it say that my numbers were accurate and correct. And I would like the minutes to really reflect that my numbers were accurate and really correct.
And the basis of this is that you feel that the stuff that's in the addendum is not correct?
No, I am saying in the addendum, it does not say my numbers were accurate the correct, and therefore implies that they were not, because that was the point of contention, was over the accuracy of my numbers.
Mr. Tripp, you want to respond?
Certainly, Mayor and Councilor Baker, respectfully, your numbers of the savings that was reported for transportation of $200,000 and the cost of the project at $20 million, those are correct numbers. But
Thank you.
My concern and my comment that night was that you linked those two numbers and called it a return on investment. And they're not really linked in that way. Those are two numbers that do represent a cost of the construction of the project and a savings in one particular item. But I sent you something earlier today, and I provided some information previously, and we've got a report here from the Public Works Director that explains that there's much, much more that goes into this project than the savings of the $200,000 on transportation. So we submitted this, as I said we would at the meeting on the 23rd, to clarify this full report and the full scope of the project. And again, to reiterate, my concern is that I think you made it sound like the project was being done with a 1% return on investment. And that was the reasoning for the project. And of course, that sounds completely financially irresponsible. And this project is not that.
And those numbers were in the report of really July 2015, were they not?
Yes.
Okay. The point that I'm trying to make here is that I felt my accuracy was impugned on something that was precisely correct and accurate. I think an apology is in order. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for the minutes to reflect that upon really of the clarification, my numbers were precisely correct according to the information we had been given.
Well, I have no problem. If you feel that your integrity was impugned, I apologize. I do apologize. Those numbers you stated were accurate, but Bruce, the way you connected them, in my view, wasn't. That's my point. But I do apologize. I would never want you to feel that way.
So are we going to amend the minutes to say that my numbers were accurate?
You have put together, I'm presuming you're moving a motion to have it amended.
Yes, I am.
Okay, that motion requires a second in order to do that. If it doesn't get a second, then it dies. Ms. Seitz, are you wanting to second the motion?
No, I just have a clarifying
Okay,
question for our city manager.
Let's get the motion on the table first. Does anyone want to second the motion from Mr. Baker to have the minutes revised? Mr. Baker, you have no second for your motion, therefore your motion dies.
Very good.
Comments, Ms. Seitz, we're still there.
Oh, it was actually a clarifying question. I wanted to make sure I didn't misunderstand. My understanding is Bruce Baker's numbers were